We're going to have a slight delay. The court reporter is stuck in traffic. So we're obviously going to have to wait until she or he gets here. And once that occurs,
Terrible traffic on 195.
we will start. So, I guess. Because we are being recorded, so the court reporter can obviously transcribe right off of the recording. Okay, so I'm going to call the meeting to order, and are you ready to record us? We're good? Okay. Good morning, everyone, and those of you who are viewing us via live stream, welcome to our meeting this morning, and it's one of those fall mornings out there that feels more like winter, which is not really very acceptable as far as I'm concerned.
It's going to be summer this afternoon.
I hope you're right. Would you please stand and we can salute the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There will be no executive session today. The item that was scheduled to be discussed in executive session has been pulled from the agenda and will be taken up at a later meeting. There are a few things that I would just like to say before we get started. And while we were, this is our first meeting rather, after Veterans Day, and I know that all of us in our own way celebrated Veterans Day, and thank all of those men and women who have served our country over the years and preserved our democracy. And as I said to someone, they put their lives on the line for us, and we have to put our lives on the line for democracy. They defended us. We have to defend democracy on every single day, because all of the alternatives to my liking aren't there. I'm sorry, we didn't get public notice yet, did we? You want to give public notice?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Adequate public notice has been given pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been posted at the board's office and website, emailed to the Department of State, and to newspapers of broad circulation within the state.
That's great. Now, it's a good thing I remembered that. Roll call.
Commissioner Holden?
Here.
Commissioner Solomon?
Here.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Here.
Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
President Phillips?
Here. And our next meeting?
Our next regular board meeting will be live streamed via YouTube on Wednesday, December 1st, 2021 at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Ada. And as I said, there will be no executive session today. And I did already talk about Veterans Day and our obligation. It's not just those in the military who are defending us, but it's the job of all of us. I'm sure you're going to join me. Since our last meeting, Commissioner Holden celebrated her 25th birthday on November 12th. Happy birthday, Commissioner. We will not have a meeting, obviously, you heard it'll be on December 1st, before Thanksgiving. So I wanted to certainly wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving with your loved ones, your friends, and I just wish you all peace and joy during the upcoming holiday season in general. It's hard to believe that we're entering into that time of the year again, when there are so many holidays being celebrated. I think somewhere I read, and I'm probably wrong on the number, between now and after the first of the year, there's like 17 different religious holidays that are celebrated. So everybody, or most folks, will be celebrating something during the next month or so. So it certainly is a festive time, and one where we should enjoy the company of family and friends. I want to also congratulate all of those folks who were elected on November 2nd. And as we all know, there were, especially I'd like to congratulate obviously the governor and the lieutenant governor and all of those legislators who were elected. Obviously, there were some surprises, as there are in all elections, and so on, but I think we here at the BPU can look forward to a productive time, and obviously there's going to be new leadership in the Senate, and as many of you know, the Speaker was reelected as Speaker in the Assembly, and we have a very fine relationship with the Speaker. And the Senate has not officially voted on the new Senate President, but it appears that one senator has the sentiment of the majority of the caucus. So we will see exactly what happens. Yesterday I was at the League of Municipalities convention down in Atlantic City and spoke before Sustainable Jersey. And as you know, Sustainable Jersey is out there working with municipalities on all types of clean energy projects and providing advice and guidance. And that's really where clean energy and the whole climate change initiative has to really catch fire. And Sustainable Jersey is certainly one organization that helps to encourage that. So it was a pleasure for me to be there, and Commissioner Shivakula was also at that luncheon, and it was good to see him, and so on. Do any of my, one other thing, I'm sorry. We're past the middle of November. People still owe money to the utility companies. We've been mentioning this time and time again. As a matter of fact, going to Atlantic City yesterday, I think I heard a public service, electric and gas company commercial at least a half a dozen times on the radio, going down and back, about people, please contact us. Public service, as an example, and all the utilities are doing the same thing. If you're having difficulty paying your bill, we can set up a payment plan. We also can provide you with a list of programs that are available to assist you to pay for your electric bill and the arrearages that have accumulated, hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars of arrearages. So again, we encourage you to go out, talk to your utility, set up a payment plan. If you need assistance, New Jersey, we're fortunate enough to live in a state where assistance is available. So please, if you're in that position, take advantage of what's available. Because December 31st, the end of the grace period, is coming very, very, very fast. And the final thing I want to mention is some of our staff today is at the league on panels, talking to local officials, and primarily talking to local officials about clean energy. And again, driving home the point that collectively, we can get a handle on this. But it has to be a united effort. And I think they're actually on the panel now, and I'm sure representing the board in a outstanding fashion, as they always do. Any of my colleagues have anything to mention? Yes, Bob?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to remind everyone that we have something else to celebrate, which is the passage of the infrastructure bill, which was signed by the President, I believe, on Monday. And hopefully, by the end of the week, there'll be a vote on the budget reconciliation bill. And both of those measures include funding for projects that we can be involved in, like expansion of electric vehicles and improving the resilience of the grid. So I think it's an exciting time to be here at the BPU and implement these programs.
It sure is. And thank you for mentioning that, Bob, because it is and can accelerate, as you say, the programs that we have initiated here in the state of New Jersey. And very exciting time. It's so encouraging to me, and obviously to many of us, that we have a partner on the federal level too, with Governor Murphy and his initiatives, and now on the federal level, President Biden and his policies can only help New Jersey further our objectives, and that's really so exciting. I keep thinking of other things, so I apologize here. The United States Senate unanimously confirmed Willie Phillips as a commissioner on the Ferc, and I think it just happened yesterday. And that too is encouraging news for us here in New Jersey. We've all had an opportunity to work with Commissioner Phillips, and all of us up here know what a reasonable, thoughtful individual he is. And I look forward to us as a board working closely with him and most of the other members of the board on the Ferc Commission. So, publicly, congratulations, Commissioner Phillips, and we look forward to working with you. All right, I think I said enough, don't you?
No. You're going to conduct the whole meeting, so you're going to say a lot more. But I just want to thank you, Mr. President, that attending the Sustainable Jersey awards program. It shows that this clean energy is a movement, and addressing the climate change is a movement. It has to start at the grassroots level. The municipalities, 565 municipalities in the state of New Jersey, play a key role, and Sustainable Jersey reaching out to these municipalities and guiding them, scoring their achievements. I think it's a major, major thing for this movement. Also, I just want to share that a couple of days ago, I guess it's a Monday, and I attended New Jersey Institute of Technology Faculty Research Showcase, which was sponsored by National Academy of Inventors, NJIT Office of Research, Carbon Group Global, and the New Jersey Commission on Science and Innovation and Technology. So to address the climate change, this was a major issue where not only we heard from different professors from different universities about the importance, and one of the talks that really triggered my thinking was resilience. How do you coming up with resiliency indicators, and because with all these storms, a lot of the areas are getting flooded, and how do you demarcate the flood zone areas, and how do you, in New Jersey especially, the 21 counties, how we can come up with the index, resilience index, so that we can take measures. And then towards the end, a lot of the students, they were presenting some innovative research projects, and I think it's a good thing that I was there and I said a few words on behalf of the VPU. So it's, I think, we have, each and every one of us have to carry the mantle and bring that message about climate change and how individually we can take responsibility and make things better. Thank you.
Just one other thing, which I forgot to mention. Commissioner Solomon went to Nehru, and as you know, there's no out-of-state travel because of the pandemic, but she was given special permission because she is in a leadership role at Nehru, and they chair the committee. So, did you want to tell us anything about that?
Yeah, in fact, I was just going to chime in that I did attend NARUC, and there was mixed attendance, because of different travel restrictions, but I think they did a great job. And resilience, as Commissioner Shibikul was mentioning, was a very large topic at the conference, not only for the Critical Infrastructure Committee, but just about every other committee that was putting on a program. And certainly we were talking about discussing at NJIT and trying to come up with metrics and how we actually define resilience is important, and something that we're looking into from the Critical Infrastructure Committee getting a better handle on. In addition to that, yesterday was the GRID exercise here, or nationally, but here in New Jersey, that our utilities participated in. So when we're talking about resilience and having the ability to deal with storms and anything else that is thrown at us, the public should know that this is something that our utilities do on a regular basis. I was able to sit in for some of those sessions, and actually tomorrow I have a full day of a GRID exercise that's being done on a federal level with DOE, NSA, so that should prove to be rather enlightening, certainly for me, knowing the scenario that they're enacting tomorrow. So I'll have a full day of response and resilience planning tomorrow. So it was a great conference.
Good. Very good, thank you. And thank you for representing New Jersey. All right, consent agenda.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. President. On the following consent agenda items, 1A, 3A, 3B, 3C, 4A, 5A, 6A, 7A, and 9A.
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiordisa?
Yes. Thank you, Rita. There are no items under audit for consideration. That brings us to energy, and Joe, you have the first two, I see. Must be Ferc related.
Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners.
Good
Can you
morning.
hear me?
Yes.
Very good. On June 11th, 2019, the PJM transmission owners filed an update to the rate charged to transmission customers taking service to the border of PJM, known as the border rate. Over the past 2 years, board staff has been involved in settlement procedures in an attempt to reach an amicable solution with disputing parties, including many in New York. Despite good faith negotiations of board staff, the settling parties finalized the settlement without considering board staff's interests or the impacts of the settlement on New Jersey ratepayers. On October 7th, 2021, the settling parties submitted the settlement to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. On October 27th, staff, on behalf of the board, filed comments in opposition to the settlement. Staff recommends that the board ratify the comments filed October 27th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments for Joe? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiordisa?
Yes. And Joe, 2B, another Ferc matter?
Thank you, Mr. President. After many years of dispute, on July 30th, 2021, PJM filed its Focused Minimum Offer Price Rule, or Focused MOPR, seeking to substantially decrease the scope of resources subject to offer floor mitigation in PJM's capacity market. On September 29th, 2021, the Focused MOPR became effective by operation of law, based on a notice issued by the Secretary of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which I'll call the Commission. This notice was issued in lieu of a typical Commission order because the Commissioners were deadlocked 2-2 as to the lawfulness of the Focused MOPR proposal. Per the requirements of Section 205G of the Federal Power Act, newly added in 2018, the Commissioners subsequently submitted statements into the record explaining how they would have ruled if the Commission had issued an order in the docket. It is unclear how a reviewing appeals court will treat Commissioner statements and the notice under this new area of law when reviewing the lawfulness of PJM's Focused MOPR proposal. In an abundance of caution, and in anticipation of active appellate review by parties opposing the Focused MOPR, staff, on behalf of the board, requested rehearing of the notice. Due to the uncertainty of the appellate review process, staff sought rehearing with the sole intent to preserve all possible legal rights. The rehearing request states that Ferc erred by not approving the Focused MOPR proposal outright and expressed concern in the delay of the issuance of the Commissioner's statement. For these reasons, staff recommends that the board ratify the request for rehearing filed October 29th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments for Joe? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiordisa?
Yes. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Continuing with energy, Brian?
Morning.
Morning, Ryan, how are you?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Good.
That's what I like to hear. All right.
And you're doing 2C for us.
I am doing 2C, BGS. This agenda item is a recommendation for securing electric power supplies for non-shopping basic generation service customers for the period beginning June 1st, 2022. By way of background, the board issued an order on April 7th opening a proceeding to determine how to procure the remaining 1/3 of the state's BGS RSCP and the annual BGS CIEP requirements for the period beginning June 1, 2022. A joint BGS filing was received from the EDCs, initial and final comments were submitted, public hearings were held in each electric company's service territory, and a legislative type hearing was held on September 27, 2021. Oh, do I have to push it? Ooh, are we good? Okay, sorry about that. I'm not used to these things. I apparently had to push this. All right, staff's full recommendation has been set forth in the agenda memo and commissioner briefings, but there are several issues that I will describe here. In the past several BGS proceedings, the EDCs proposed and the board has approved the use of a capacity proxy price for each EDC to be treated as the capacity proxy price for the 2022, 2023, and 2023-2024 delivery years. In this proceeding, the EDCs are once again proposing to use a capacity proxy price for the 2023, 2024, and 2024-2025 delivery years as necessary. As noted by Rate Council and the EDCs, some uncertainty remains for the upcoming BGS RSCP auction in regards to the base residual auction results for the 2023, 2024, and 2024-2025 delivery years. Since we cannot know the upcoming capacity auction prices, staff recommends that the board approve the EDC's proposed numbers in the proposal as the capacity proxy price for the 2023, 2024, and 2024-2025 delivery years. However, staff notes that should the prices for the 2023-2024 delivery year be known 5 days prior to the BGS RSCP auction, the capacity proxy price for the applicable delivery year will no longer be needed and should be voided. As a result of the successfully conducted remote 2021 BGS auction, the EDCs propose to conduct the 2022 BGS auctions from a remote setting. Additionally, the EDCs requested board approval to take the steps necessary to close and/or sublet the physical BGS auction. Staff recommends that the board approve the EDC's proposal to conduct the 2022 BGS auction remotely. Staff agrees that the closing and/or subletting of the physical BGS office could lead to reduced cost to the benefit of BGS customers and recommends the board find the EDC's request to close and/or sublet the physical BGS auction office appropriate. Furthermore, staff recommends that the board direct the EDCs to provide monthly reports to staff on the progress of closing or subletting the BGS auction office until the office is closed or sublet to another tenant. Once the office is closed or sublet to another tenant, the EDC should provide a report showing the direct cost savings to BGS customers. However, with the security and operation of the auction being paramount, staff recommends that the board find the board's consultant, Bates White, and the auction manager, Nira, should work together on a solution to conduct the auctions from the same location to ensure that Bates White has a physical presence while the auctions are being conducted. One element of the EDC's proposal is a modification to the settlement process that would involve the transfer of responsibility for unaccounted for energy, or UFE, from the final monthly energy allocation of BGS suppliers, third-party suppliers, and municipalities to the EDCs, and also approve the transfer of the responsibility for costs and/or credits related to meter corrections and inadvertent energy from BGS suppliers to the EDCs. The EDCs further requested that the board approve the deferral and recovery of all costs or credits associated with the transfer of UFE in the final monthly energy allocation to the EDCs through the non-utility generation charge, also known as NGC. Additionally, RICO requested approval to create an NGC charge and its tariff, as it does not currently have one. After reviewing the EDC's proposal and comments submitted, staff does not believe the EDCs have shown why the proposed changes are necessary or how ratepayers would specifically benefit from the proposed change or whether BGS suppliers, third-party suppliers, or municipalities are in favor of this change to the BGS product. As this is an issue that affects BGS and third-party suppliers as well as municipalities, it's important to have their thoughts on the proposal. As there is uncertainty related to mutual agreement, staff does not believe that the EDCs have provided enough background information supporting the proposal, and as a result, staff recommends that the board deny the EDC's UFE proposal in this matter. Additionally, staff recommends that the board reject the UFE proposal. They also recommend rejecting the proposed changes to the SMAs. Electrify America filed comments in this matter requesting that the board direct each of the EDCs to submit options for volumetric capacity rates for electric vehicle, direct charge fast charging stations in this proceeding for review, and that the EDCs revise the way they set initial capacity tags for DC-FC stations. According to Electrify America, the BGS supply product provided Electrify America with a stable and transparent supply option for DC-FC loads in a market where third-party suppliers have been reluctant to provide competitive pricing options, presumably due to risk aversion attributable to uncertainties related to DC-FC load patterns. Electrify America claimed it offers DC-FC services on a $1 per kilowatt hour basis, and as a result, obtaining a stable and predictable price for the electricity supply is critical for the ability of Electrify America to operate at a profit. Moreover, Electrify America asserted that the price of electricity directly determines whether it is capable of pricing its product at a reasonable price, for example by achieving gasoline equivalency, to fully incentivize EV electric vehicle adoption and usage, as well as allow Electrify America to recover its investments. Both the EDCs and Rate Council opposed any changes to the rate design for DCFCs in the instant proceeding. After carefully reviewing Electrify America's proposal and comments submitted, staff believes more information is needed from the EDCs and other suppliers before substantial changes can be made to the BGS rates. As noted by the board in both the PSE&G and ACE electric vehicle matters, the BGS is a pass-through of supply costs for customers who choose not to shop through a third-party supplier. In the PSE&G electric vehicle order, the board ordered PSE&G to, quote, collect EV charging data required to support the establishment of BGS rates for the rate options discussed above in a future BGS proceeding, end quote. As noted by the EDCs in their final comments, PSE&G is just beginning the process of initiating such a data collection. Staff recommends that the board direct all EDCs to collect, subject to customer consent, the EV charging data required to support the review and development of potential EV-specific BGS rates. Staff believes any proposal to modify the BGS rate structure related to EV charging needs to be supported by facts, and is concerned that uninformed change at this time will have cost allocation implications for other BGS customers. Staff recommends that the board deny Electrify America's requests in this proceeding and direct the EDCs to, as part of their 2023 BGS filing, file a proposal to address BGS rates for the EV charging. To summarize, with the modifications suggested, staff recommends the board approve the descending clock auction process, the auction rules, board approval process, and SMAs that were proposed by the EDCs. Staff also recommends that the board require each of the EDCs to file an amended BGS compliance filing by December 3rd, 2021, and authorize staff to review the compliance filings and request that the board secretary issue a compliance letter if the filings are found to be compliant.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, just one question.
Yes.
Right, you know, Electrified, they have testified, I mean, at the public session, they talked about peak hour charging, and because of, they don't have any control on that, and so the charges will be higher, peak rates, and they say it's going to leave some of the drivers stranded. Do you buy that? I mean, they talk about that. They do have access, only thing they have an exposure to higher rates, right?
Right. I think the concern for them is more just about the adoption of EV as a result of the higher peak loads pricing and stuff like that, capacity tags that are set. As far as leaving drivers stranded, I think it was more, their comments were more centered on just the adoption overall, having more accessibility to these stations where they're up and down the turnpike or in populated cities like Newark or Trenton or something like that. So more just along the lines of that. Does that address?
Yeah. I mean, they don't shut down because the rates are high, they don't shut down the charging stations?
No.
That's what I was.
Yeah. No, I don't believe that's what they intended with their comments.
Yeah, when they use the words like stranded, I thought that, oh my God, they don't have any access, so.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just
That's
more
not
about
what they meant.
Yeah, more about the accessibility of electric vehicle charging to New Jersey residents.
Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Mr. President,
You're
Commissioner.
up here for a number of items that you want us to consider.
Yeah, sorry you have to listen to me probably for 45 minutes or something like that, but do I have your permission to take my mask off?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
And we've all taken medication to get through the 45 minutes.
I might need some medicine too. All right.
All right, so that brings us to letter D.
Yes. So on June 1st, 2021, South Jersey Gas Company filed its annual BGSS petition seeking to increase its periodic BGSS rate, increase its balancing service clause, and decrease its per-therm SIP rates. Combining the BGSS and balancing service clause recovery with the SIP recovery results in an increase of $47.3 million, including taxes. Additional details since the filing have become available related to the pending Columbia base rate case, which would result in a proposed recovery increase of $22.3 million, including taxes. The parties have executed a stipulation for provisional rates that would allow the company to provisionally modify its BGSS balancing service clause and SIP rates consistent with the update, which if approved by the board would result in a monthly increase of $7.46 for the typical residential customer. Staff recommends that the board issue an order adopting the stipulation, direct South Jersey to file revised tariffs by December 1st, and transmit the matter to the Office of Administrative Law for hearing.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments for Paul? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. That brings us to E for New Jersey Natural Gas.
Correct, so on May 28th of this year, New Jersey Natural Gas Company also filed its annual BGSS petition, seeking approval to modify its BGSS balancing charge and SIP per therm rates. Combining the BGSS and balancing charge recovery with the SIP recovery results in an increase of $15.3 million, including taxes. The parties have executed a stipulation for provisional rates that would allow the company to provisionally modify its BGSS balancing charge and SIP rates, consistent with the filing, which if approved by the board, would result in a monthly increase of $1.61 for the typical residential customer. Staff recommends that the board issue an order adopting the stipulation, direct New Jersey Natural to file revised tariffs by December 1st, and transmit the matter to the Office of Administrative Law for hearing.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. That brings us to Elizabethtown Gas.
On June 1st of this year, Elizabethtown Gas filed its annual BGSS petition seeking to modify its current per-therm periodic BGSS rate. Additionally, Elizabethtown requested for approval to contract for renewable natural gas supply starting March 1st of 2022. The company projects that its recoverable gas cost at the proposed rate would be approximately $14 million higher than the level recorded through current BGSS P rates. On June 22nd, 2021, NRG filed a motion to intervene in this proceeding, which was opposed by Elizabethtown. On August 10th, 2021, Elizabethtown filed an amendment petition to remove its request to contract for RNG supply. Based upon the updated information in the pending Columbia base rate case, the company reduced the request in its petition. The parties have executed a stipulation for provisional rates that would allow the company to provisionally increase its BGSS per therm rate consistent with the update, which if approved by the board, would result in a monthly increase of $4.71 for the typical residential customer. Staff recommends the board issue an order adopting the stipulation, direct Elizabethtown to file revised tariffs by December 1st, and transmit the matter to the Office of Administrative Law for hearing. With respect to NRG's motion to intervene, staff believes the issue of the BGSS pricing mechanism raised by NRG should be addressed in a generic proceeding as it impacts all New Jersey natural gas companies. Accordingly, staff recommends that the board deny NRG's motion to intervene.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Mr. President. Quick general question, yeah, in terms of, I hear that the natural gas prices are increasing. Are the users of natural gas are protected with all these orders?
I believe they are. The utilities do have hedging programs, and part of the BGSS is to provide the gas company with the cost of providing this service. It is a pass-through to the utilities. This is not something that the utilities earn on. So with the mechanism in place and the structure in place and the January 6, 2003 board order that allows the EDCs to self-implement rate increases twice during the BGSS year with notice to staff and rate council, I believe that there is appropriate hedging for the customers and protection for them.
So when they self-implement, we do oversee that, right, to make sure that.
So for self-implementation, the typically utilities file in June, rates would potentially be in effect, provisional rates by October 1st. The GDCs, each GDC would have to submit a 30-day notice to the board and rate council by November 1st to put in rates December 1st, and alternatively January 1st to put in rates February 1st.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If there are no other questions or comments, roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Walden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Ferlizzo.
Yes. And let's go to G, Public Service Electric and Gas, Paul.
On June 1st, 2021, Public Service and Electric Gas Company filed its annual BGS petition as well, seeking approval to maintain its current per therm BGSS residential gas service rate and to increase its per therm balance and charge rate. The proposed increase in the per therm balance and charge would result in annual recoveries of approximately $144.875 million. In the petition, PSE&G also requested approval to potentially procure renewable natural gas. On June 22nd, NRG also filed a motion to intervene in this proceeding, which was opposed by PSE&G. The parties have now executed a stipulation for provisional rates that would allow the company to provisionally implement the per therm BGSS and balance and charge rates proposed in the petition, which if approved by the board, would result in an annual increase of $5.38 to the typical residential customer. Staff recommends that the board issue an order adopting the stipulation, direct PSE&G to file revised tariffs by December 1st, and transmit the matter to the OAL for hearing. With respect to NRG's motion to intervene, Staff also believes, as previously mentioned, the issue of the BGSS pricing mechanism raised by NRG should be addressed in a generic proceeding as it impacts all New Jersey natural gas companies. Accordingly, staff recommends that the board deny NRG's motion to intervene.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Ferlisa.
Yes. That brings us to H.
Correct. So as described in the previous items, and in accordance with the board's January 6, 2000 order in Stacey, the 4 gas distribution companies each filed their annual petitions in June of this year to reset their periodic BGSS charges. The January 2003 order also authorized the GDCs to, if necessary, self-implement up to a 5% increase effective December 1st of each BGSS year, and if necessary, self-implement a second increase of up to 5% effective February 1st of each BGSS year, subject to refund with interest and subject to subsequent review of the board. The January 2003 order required each of the GDCs to provide a 30-day written notice to board staff and rate council prior to self-implementing these rate increases. Self-implementing decreases, if appropriate, may be implemented by the GDCs at any time upon 5 days' notice to board staff and rate council. The most recent projections of gas costs strongly suggest that even with the potential implementation of self-implementing rate increases, the GDCs will likely be significantly under-recovered as of September 30th, 2022, which is the end of the BGSS annual period. Due to the extreme volatility of the natural gas market this year, on November 1st, 2021, the GDCs filed whether a self-implementing rate increase is necessary, and also, if so, how much of an increase is necessary. Additionally, ETG also requested a waiver of the language in its tariff, BGSS Rider A, which incorporates the language from the January 2003 order. On November 9th, 2021, Rate Council submitted comments indicating that it does not object to the GDC's request, and the relief should only apply to the December 1st, 2021 self-implemented rate increases. Staff recommends that the board issue an order granting the motion filed by the GDCs to permit a one-time waiver for this BGSS year of the requirement that notice of a December 1st self-implementing rate increase be filed no later than November 1st, as may be indicated in each GDC's relevant tariff and as provided in the January 2003 order. Staff further recommends that the board order that any such notification by the GDCs be filed with board staff in Rate Council no later than November 19th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just, Mr. President, I just have one comment. You know, in the order, it says that Rate Council has indicated that it does not. Rate Council is a person, so I don't know, it reference, maybe you may want to reword the sentence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob?
Thank you. The financial press has been highlighting the volatility that you referred to and the fact that in the international markets, the natural gas prices are really beginning to surge upward. Do we have access to any models or predictions that would guide us as to what's likely to happen over the next year or two?
Based on our review of the NYMEX prices, so when the GDCs file, we provide them with a date to use for their NYMEX pricing. The date was in May. Based on that position in May to current supply rates on the NYMEX and commodity prices, the rate has drastically increased. In May, it was around $2, and now it's over $5. So I think based on that type of modeling we looked at, We saw that, staff saw that this is increasing, is very volatile at this time. We don't see it coming down, and we don't see this as a issue just for New Jersey. It's a national supply issue. So I think there is modeling out there that staff has availability to look at.
Well, I'm just wondering, I mean, if this is an issue that we're gonna be dealing with in the near future, I'm just wondering whether we need to revisit some of our heating assistance programs, for example. I mean, we may see more people struggling. And, I just think that perhaps that calls for some review of our policies to see what we can do to try to mitigate the impacts.
I agree. Something we should be looking at, and if, Ada, you can transmit that request to Maureen and see the suggestions that she may come up with. She's the one closest to these issues and so on, but that is a very good point, because we're still in a pandemic, whether we like it or not. And there are still people who are hurting and so on. So, and if she can report back to us, that would be wonderful. Before we take a vote here, approving the BGSS increases, as we have done here today, is something the board does not take lightly, as evidenced by Commissioner Gordon's comments about people hurting, and increases are never something that are pleasant. While we're focused on ratepayers here in New Jersey, we are keenly aware that this is a national supply issue, as you mentioned, Paul, and increases in the price of gas are happening across the country. And it just shows, I think, or illustrates the fact that not very long ago we were talking about how inexpensive natural gas is. And here we are talking about how it's becoming more expensive. And the variations in the economy that dictate certain things. And I would really respectfully like to remind folks that the BGSS portion of their bill is a pass-through, meaning the utilities do not earn a profit on it. It's not much consolation when you get your bill, but someone's not going to the bank on it, is basically, the utilities are not going to the bank on it. Additionally, there are some solutions in ways that all of us, and it's something we've been preaching for so many years now, where we can save money during these times by exercising energy efficiency means. We can all, I'm sure, just look around our own homes and see how we might be wasting energy. I've said this so many times as a boy growing up. My mother would yell at me. I can still hear it to this day. If I left the room without shutting the light off. And that part of Newark was serviced by public service. And her favorite comment was, "We're not in partnership with public service." And she was right, we weren't. So, as I mentioned at the top of the meeting, if you are having difficulty paying your bills, and we're going to have Maureen look into this as far as looking at our programs and see if they're sufficient at this point, as Commissioner Gordon mentioned, that New Jersey has programs to assist. And I encourage people who need that assistance, and I understand. Some people may be embarrassed to reach out for help. By the same token, we live in a society, or I'd like to think we live in a society, where if one of us is hurting, all of us are. And it's incumbent upon us to help those who are in need and who are having a tough time. So, if you're in that category, explore the programs that are available. Explore those programs. They're there to help. Or contact your utility. Set up some kind of payment plan if you're in arrears. Help is available. And sometimes when we need that help, I remember a personal experience about being embarrassed. Many years ago, I was unemployed, first time in my life. And I was embarrassed to go down unemployment and apply for unemployment. What if my neighbor saw me? What if this one saw me? I was embarrassed. I'd never needed help before. But that's what these programs are there for. Ultimately, I overcame that embarrassment because of the need and the needs of my family. So please, if you need help, reach out. Yeah, Bob.
Mr. President, one other thought that just occurs to me, as I recall, when we were considering nuclear subsidies, we were told by the owners of these nuclear plants that they needed the subsidy because they couldn't compete with natural gas fired sources because the price was dropping so much, which suggests to me that perhaps the next time we look at this issue, we just revisit the question of whether those subsidies are still needed.
Very good point. There are no other comments?
I just want.
Yes.
Yeah, when you look at now that the winter is coming and it's around here, LIHEAP and USF programs, are they making allowances for some of the rating, the gas prices increases, and how are they doing handling that?
I know the board has raised the income for people
Right.
to become eligible for these programs. I think it was a drastic increase from what was previously provided. So there is availability for customers out there, like the president said, if they're hurting, there is that assistance out there for families.
Yeah, more along the lines of LIHEAP, I think, a lot of the people who are really struggling. I know the USF program, 350% federal poverty level, I think we need to think about that. Federal government, I don't know whether they're making adjustments and what we can do at state level, so something to think about.
I know that the federal level for LIHEAP was increased drastically this year. When we talked about lobbying for a similar program for water and wastewater, there was a fear that instead of creating a new program, they were going to take from LIHEAP, and that was not the case. So there is, for this year, there is a water and wastewater systems program, and we're lobbying now to have that continue because it's, just as you need help with energy, you need help with water. And certainly during the pandemic, we've seen a huge increase in water because of all the hygiene that's necessary.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Filippo?
Yes. Well, that brings us to I, a PSE&G item.
Correct. On June 30th of this year, Public Service filed a petition seeking approval of gas base rate changes to provide for cost recovery associated with the extension of its gas system modernization program, which was approved by the board in an order dated May 22nd, 2018. In the petition, and as subsequently updated, PSE&G sought to recover the projected revenue requirement associated with the capital investment costs through August 31st, 2021, not yet recovered in base rates of approximately $27.98 million. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to recover a revenue requirement of approximately $27.98 million, consistent with the update, which if approved by the board, would result in an annual increase of $15.44 for the typical residential customer. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the stipulation and direct PSE&G to file revised tariffs by December 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Mr. President,
Yes.
at the end of the year, probably we need to get, all these things, what is the annual impact, for customers, so that way, we are getting piecemeal so many different things, so annual impact would be great.
Yeah, and I know we provide that on a quarterly basis, so we'll provide that.
Right. And hopefully by then we'll also have, an impact on other measures that are taken by the Clean Energy Division that will have some basis for reviewing that as well. So we're all on that.
I know that the economist's office is working on that.
Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Filippo?
Yes. J, another PSE&G item, Paul.
Correct, Mr. President. On June 1st, PSE&G filed a petition seeking approval to increase its current margin adjustment charge rate, which was established to ensure margin from non-firm transportation customers are credited to firm customers in recognition that both firm and non-firm customers should contribute toward the cost associated with maintaining the distribution system. The proposed rates in the petition would result in a decrease in the credit of approximately $1.8 million per year, excluding sales and use tax, thus representing an increase to customers. Based upon the petition, as of April of this year, the actual MAC balance is over-collected by approximately $10.92 million, including interest. And PSE&G forecasted for the period ending September 30th, 2021, the MAC balance would be over-collected by approximately $15.05 million, including interest, which was subsequently updated to approximately $14.32 million, including interest, through September 30th, 2021. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to modify its MAC rate consistent with the petition, which if approved by the board, would result in an annual increase of 78 cents for the typical residential customer. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and direct PSE&G to file tariffs by December 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Filippo?
Yes. Letter K, New Jersey Natural.
Yes, so on March 30th, New Jersey Natural Gas filed a petition to increase its current base rates for natural gas service by approximately $165.67 million, excluding sales and use tax, implement certain rate and tariff revisions, and revise its existing depreciation rates. The company also requested a return on equity of 10.5%. On March 31st, New Jersey Natural filed a petition seeking approval to adjust its base rates to provide for cost recovery associated with the New Jersey Reinvestment in System Enhancement, or RISE, and Safety Acceleration and Facility Enhancement, also referred to as SAFE, 2 programs, as of June 30th of this year. The revenue requirement associated with the RISE investments was approximately $256,037 and approximately $54,615 for the SAFE 2 investments. Both matters were transmitted to the Office of Administrative Law with a request for consolidation and were assigned to AOJ Gertzman for consideration and hearing. Throughout the course of the proceeding, the company updated the petitions to include 12 months of actual data. For the base rate case, the revenue requirement was updated to approximately $162.5 million. The RISE revenue requirement was updated to approximately $215,000, and the SAFE 2 revenue requirement was updated to $55,000. The parties have executed a stipulation which was subsequently approved by the ALJ. Key components of the stipulation include a revenue requirement of $79 million, excluding taxes for the rate case, and approximately $269,000 revenue requirement for the NJ RISE and SAFE 2 matter. A rate base of $2.523 billion, a return on equity of 9.6%, and a monthly residential customer charge of $11, including taxes. As a result of the stipulation, if approved by the board, a typical residential customer would experience a monthly increase of $11.62. Staff recommends the board adopt the initial decision and approve the stipulation for service rendered on and after December 1st, 2021, and direct the company to file revised tariffs by December 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Letter I, E-Town.
On July 30th, 2021, Elizabethtown Gas Company filed a petition seeking review and approval of the company's manufactured gas plant remediation adjustment clause activities and net manufactured gas plant costs incurred during the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, based upon a 7-year cost amortization, in addition to specific adjustments and prior period true-up amounts. Based upon the net rack period cost and the amortization of previous rack period expenses, the company proposed a decrease to the current rack recoveries of approximately $3.93 million. The parties have executed a stipulation for provisional rates that would allow the company to provisionally modify its rack rate consistent with the petition, which, if approved by the board, would result in a monthly decrease of $1.65 for the typical residential customer. Staff recommends the board issue an order adopting the stipulation and direct Elizabethtown to file revised tariffs by December 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And finally, Paul M., which, an ACE matter and Exelon matter here.
Correct. On June 7th, Atlantic City Electric filed a petition seeking declaratory ruling to confirm that board approval is not required for the spin-off of the generation business, Exelon Generation Company LLC, a subsidiary of Exelon Corporation. Exelon became the parent of ACE and Pepco Holdings, also known as PHI, in March of 2016. The board's order approving the merger contains several commitments from ACE and Exelon regarding, among other things, rates, employees, safe and adequate utility service, competition, and ring fencing. On February 24th of this year, Exelon announced its intention to transfer 100% ownership of ExGen to a newly created subsidiary that will then be spun off to become ExGen's new ultimate parent company. As a result of the transaction, ExGen and its subsidiaries will no longer be owned by Exelon, and Exelon will no longer own merchant business generation. On March 30th of this year, ACE filed a letter providing the board with a notice and information about the transaction, explaining that the transaction would have no impact on the ownership or control of Exelon or the ownership or control of ACE. In the June petition, ACE asserted that the transaction does not fall within the purview of board regulation or authority because the transaction does not involve a public utility and is not the type of transaction subject to board jurisdiction. The petition also asserted that ACE and other PHI utilities will remain ring-fenced and insulated from business risks associated with any utility or non-utility activities of Exelon outside of PHI after the transaction. On September 17, 2021, Rate Counsel submitted comments on the petition, arguing that the issuance of any declaratory ruling that board approval is not necessary for the transaction should be conditioned on the satisfaction of a positive benefits test, as well as Exelon's continued adherence to the commitments required by the March 2015 order, particularly those commitments regarding refinancing. On September 28, 2021, ACE filed reply comments and reaffirmed that all commitments undertaken in connection with previous board orders will remain unchanged. Additionally, ACE further stated the company is willing to provide an updated ring financing report if required by the board. While ACE sought an order finding that the transaction is not subject to board approval, staff performed a review of the transaction based upon the framework set forth in NJAC 14:1 5.14C regarding possible impacts on competition, employees, rates, and service quality. Staff further recommends that based upon a review of the petition and comments submitted, the board find that the transaction is in compliance with relevant law and regulations. And staff further recommends that the board approve the transaction.
So moved.
Second.
I always get a little nervous when we talk about a ring financing environment situation. We have that with other utilities and so on, and in my opinion, we have to be vigilant in monitoring these situations so that there indeed is a ring, a wall, whatever you want to call it, to ensure the fact that there's no overlap and so on. And having this ring financing report, I think, is vital to ensure the fact that it gives us some level, or gives me some level of comfort that everyone is playing above board, not suggesting people play below board, because everybody is honest. And it is important that we feel comfortable with it. So I agree with the suggestion and the recommendation. Any other comments? Yes.
You sort of took the words right out of my mouth. I think making sure that any of the spring fencing that we have in place and any of our utilities, that they all be consistently, annually at least, taken a look at and updated as necessary, because too many of these things slip through the cracks. And, oh, it's okay, it's not okay. So, I echo your sentiments completely.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the things I learned more than 5 years ago, that Exelon invested very large investment in cybersecurity and a lot of it towards the compliance and all that. So under this arrangement, ring fencing becomes important because a lot of it is how are they going to divide the assets for providing the cybersecurity infrastructure within the corporation, how they're going to divest that and how they're going to, what impact is going to happen on the PHI and the rest of the holdings.
Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes, Paul, thank you. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure spending the past 6 hours with you.
I concur.
No items under cable or telecommunications for consideration. That brings us to water. Michael.
Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners. On June 9th, the town of Clinton filed a petition with the board seeking a determination of a dispute between the town of Clinton and the borough of Lebanon regarding the application of a municipal ordinance 20-05 passed by the borough on July 5th, 2020, which requires that certain road restoration standards be employed on Main Street in the borough following excavation. The town claims that the ordinance is unreasonable and amounts to a refusal of the municipal consent conferred by the borough on the town for the purpose of furnishing the borough's residents with water service. The borough asserts that the board does not have jurisdiction in this matter. The town provides water service to approximately 12,000 customers within the town itself, portions of Clinton Township, Franklin Township, Hunterdon County, Union Township, Hunterdon County, and the borough of Lebanon, and has a surge contract with the borough of Highbridge and state institutions. The town's rates are not subject to the board's jurisdiction because the rates located for customers within the town and the rates for customers located outside the town are equal. The matter was transmitted to the Office of Administrative Law as a contested case and was assigned to ALJ Gertzman. The petitioner, rate counsel, and board staff filed briefs in favor of establishing jurisdiction on September 17, 2021. The borough reply brief was filed on September 29th. After reviewing the briefs, ALJ Gertzman concluded that the board has jurisdiction and memorialized his decision in a letter order that he issued on October 19, 2021. On October 22, 2021, the borough of Lebanon filed a motion for interlocutory review of ALJ Gertzman's letter order, arguing that the board has no jurisdiction in this matter. The town filed its opposition to the borough's motion for interlocutory review on October 25, 2021. Staff recommends that the board denies the motion for interlocutory review.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
There are no items under reliability and security for consideration. That brings us to customer assistance. Julie, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners.
Suez
Suez Work.
doesn't want to collect money, apparently. They want to close a payment window.
Not in this life. By letter dated May 11, By letter dated May 11, Suez Water, New Jersey filed a petition pursuant to NJSA 14.3-5.1 to close its customer payment window at 69 DeVoe Place in Hackensack. Suez has complied with NJSA 14.3-5.1 C and E, including mailing copies of the petition to the clerk of the affected municipality as well as to rate council. Suez stated that due to changes in its customer interaction as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, it had closed the payment window for in-person customer payments since the start of the pandemic. Suez also stated that foot traffic at the payment window over the past few years have been declining. Suez gave reasons why the closure is reasonable and in the public interest. First, the office is not a secure facility and it will require several capital improvements to make it safer, including making security improvements to the gate, vents, and entry doors. The location presents a higher risk of COVID-19 transmission due to its inadequate social distancing capability. Entry to the exit from the office is limited due to a narrow driveway. Closing the payment center will enable the company to have its customer service reps focus more on customer service issues and answering phones, calls, and emails. There are several alternative ways that customers can make payments, including 2 other payment centers in Hackensack that are located close by, as well as a drop box at the lake location. On August 3rd, Rate Council submitted a letter concerning this matter and noted that prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, an average of 28 customers a day visited the office, but foot traffic at the location was down and 25% in 2019 from its 2016 levels. Further, Rate Council noted that the company had not received any complaints since the office closed to in-person customer payments. And finally, Rate Council stated that it did not object to the board approving the company's petition. Also, the board staff have not received any complaints or comments regarding the closure. Therefore, board staff recommends that the board grant Suez's request to close the company's payment window located at 69 DeVoe Place in Hackensack, New Jersey, with subject to the following conditions. This order in the matter, the order in this matter shall not be construed as directly or indirectly fixing for any purposes whatsoever the value of any tangible or intangible assets not owned or hereafter to be owned by the company, and the order shall not affect nor in any way limit the exercise of the authority of the board or of the state in any future petition or any proceeding with respect to rates, franchises, service, financing, accounting, capitalization, depreciation, or any other matter affecting the company, including any request that may be made to recover costs associated with this closure.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
That brings us to clean energy. Dustin, I think you're first up on energy efficiency incentives, A and B.
Morning, Mr. President and Commissioners. Is this audible?
Yes.
Okay. Barclays Capital Inc. submitted an application under the Large Energy Users Program requesting board approval of a financial incentive of $523,648.20 for chiller replacements at a data center in Cranford, New Jersey. This proposed project has a total cost of $4,178,090. If approved, this application would cover the replacement of 5 existing electric chillers and associated pump packages at the Cranford Data Center. The replacements will be high-efficiency, air-cooled, 300-ton, variable-speed, screw-type chillers. Annually, this project would conserve 5,047,860 kilowatts of electricity. It would also reduce peak demand by an anticipated 1,340 kilowatts per year. The proposed project has an estimated annual energy cost savings of $419,070 and an estimated annual operational and maintenance cost savings of $15,000. Staff recommends approval of the application for the total estimated incentive amount.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Dustin and I had this conversation at our briefing, and the point I raised was that I'm wondering whether we need to modify the calculations that we make for payback, given the increasing cost of energy, which would suggest that any increase in efficiency means a greater dollar savings, and so these payback numbers may need to be adjusted. I'm just wondering whether perhaps our Ben Witherell in our economist office may want to just take a look at that and comment on that for us. I understand that there are numbers that are normally used in this calculation based on some protocols that we use, but I'm just wondering whether we need to modify those as the cost of energy change. Just
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, don't we typically, review the protocols and make those adjustments at those times? I think, but that was my understanding, but with respect to some of those protocols, take some of that into effect when we do those evaluations.
And it would be extremely important in our ESIP program.
Yeah.
To help with fight.
Yeah. Bob, can you mention to Ben,
Yes.
take a look at it and so on to see if any alteration or different kind of adjustment?
Yeah, the staff has been tracking the changes in the natural gas prices. We'll take that into account when we're doing our benefit cost analyses. I know that's something that Ben looks at regularly.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Ferguson.
Yes. And another one in B. Dustin?
PF Colonnade Apartments submitted an application under the Pay for Performance Existing Buildings Program, requesting board approval of a financial incentive of $911,367.88 for the installation of energy efficiency measures at the Colonnade Apartments in Newark, New Jersey. This proposed project has a total cost of $2,147,896. If approved, this application would cover the installation of energy efficiency measures at the Colonnade Apartments. These measures include LED lighting in the apartments and common areas, occupancy-based lighting controls in the common areas, window sealing and packaged terminal AC sleeve sealing in apartments, new high-efficiency hot water boilers. I'll stop for a second. Okay, here we go. Variable frequency drives on hot water and domestic hot water pumps, boiler outside air reset controls, daylight-based lighting controls for the facade and parking fixtures, LED lighting for exterior fixtures, high-efficiency domestic hot water heaters, and low-flow faucets and shower heads. Annually, this project would conserve 603,734 kilowatt hours of electricity and 135,392 therms of natural gas. It would also reduce peak demand by an anticipated 128 kilowatts per year. The proposed project has an estimated annual energy cost savings of $136,149. Staff recommends approval of the application for the total estimated incentive amount.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? I'm sorry?
Yeah, just one comment, and this is corollary to what you were saying earlier about taking advantage of energy efficiency programs in terms of specs. These are programs that we all pay into on our bill, and the SBC, and additionally now, in addition to that money going to the SBC, we're allowing our utilities to earn on the programs that they're going to be running. So, you know, this is a lot of ratepayer dollars out there that we hope folks will take advantage of and recoup in some manner. And, you know, I hope that that doesn't go unnoticed by the general public out there when they're looking to mitigate the measures we had to take earlier because of rising prices. So, you know, recoup some of your hard-earned ratepayer dollars by taking advantage of these programs.
Good point. Good point. And that's one of the things we constantly try to get out for the public to grab onto some of these programs. You know, and it's, I know when we're all out giving speeches or whatever, we're mentioning these programs and trying to get folks to, hey, listen, things can happen. And I don't know if any of you know where the colony apartments are, except Michael. There she is. And if you're on 280, you can see them once you get past the Harrison area, or before the Harrison area on the left-hand side. And I remember when they were built, and they were built probably getting the years wrong, so either late 60s or early 70s. And at the time, it was extremely difficult at first to get into them because they were, quote, exclusive, and so on. And it's amazing to see now, after 50 years, they need some facelifting, so to speak, and some energy efficiency things, and just showing how 50 years has changed so much in what we're doing and what we're looking at and what we're promoting. So it's interesting to see that. Dustin, thank you.
I have one other.
Sure.
Was this the one I was asking about the boilers on? Yeah. On? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so, so essentially, from the way I've seen, or from what I've heard, I guess there were 4 original boilers at at the apartments, and they had all, or 3 of them had failed. And the building had actually changed ownership at the time, so they needed a quick solution to this. So they purchased a set of cheap boilers, I guess, you know, just to live by. And then, so the intent of this project was to really replace the failed ones, the cheap ones, and I guess the one remaining one that was still active but not as efficient as these newer boilers, so that the apartment would be running on more efficient boilers that are new and effective.
Hopefully it'll
and
work a
will-
lot better than the 3 cheap ones that they bought to try and keep the place running, which was my point in asking about it, and thank you for getting that information. It just goes, you know, to the depths of some of these projects and what's being done sometimes to
I
keep
guess
them operating.
bubblegum only holds it together for so long.
Exactly, yes, that was my point. Thanks.
Good.
I just want to say on behalf of my former aide, and he's listening in, who's now at rate council, Rob Glover, we have the
Shower.
low-flow shower heads, which he fought
You're right.
before. And so, I just want to note that.
Got me in there
I'm
too.
very pleased that got him there.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Yes, clarification, it's waste heat, how does that work? The boilers, they're gonna reuse that wasted heat or, it's over 135,392. So you don't have, you can get back to me later.
Yeah, I mean, I can look into the matter, but from what I know at the moment, so more efficient boilers or like any kind of appliances, that used to like power anything, they could generate waste heat, which is indicative of the wasted energy. And the newer, more efficient models of the same devices would usually produce less of that waste heat, and that's indicative of the saved energy.
Any other questions or comments for Dustin? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Curlizo.
Yes. Justin, thank you and well done.
Thank you.
Mr. Hunter. Item 8C.
Sir. Mr. President, Commissioners,
Mr. Hunter.
good to see you all. This item relates to a subsection T application from Smart Citizens LLC to have its project certified as being located on a properly closed sanitary landfill and a brownfield pursuant to subsection T of the Solar Act of 2012. The applicant's 18.44 megawatt DC project is proposed to be located on 25.325 acres, one and adjacent to the Deerfield Township Sanitary Landfill in Deerfield Township in Cumberland County. Smart Citizens seeks TREC eligibility for a 9.345 megawatt DC project on 16.4 acres that it's indicated to be a landfill, and for 9.1 megawatts DC on 10.845 acres indicated to be a brownfield. Staff reviewed the application for administrative completeness and supplied a copy to the NJDEP for their review. The DEP reviewed the application and the history of the property and supplied staff a memo on the application where they advised that only a 10.9 acre portion of the proposed site is a properly closed sanitary landfill, consistent with the definition prescribed by the Solar Act of 2012. And the property identified in the application as a brownfield has been determined by the DEP to not meet the criteria for a brownfield as defined by the Solar Act. The DEP also advised that the solar project proposed to be installed on the closed landfill will constitute construction, and the DEP's provided specific requirements to that end. Based on the review of the application and the advisory memorandum provided by the DEP, staff recommends the following 4 items. Specifically, that the board grant conditional certification of the 10.9 acre portion of the Smart Citizens project as identified by the DEP as the Deerfield Township Sanitary Landfill on property defined as a properly closed sanitary landfill. Deny the remainder of the application, specifically deny the portions which propose to build on the area outside of the boundaries of the capped landfill as identified in a map supplied by the DEP, and deny the area sought by the applicant to be considered a brownfield. Require that the conditions for certification provided by the DEP for construction on the properly closed sanitary landfill be fully documented as satisfied by the applicant prior to staff's issuance of full certification. And finally, direct the applicant to file its TREC registration with an updated site plan specifying the capacity of the solar electric generation facility that's to be located on the 10.9 acres of the properly closed sanitary landfill within 14 days of the effective date of the order.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Scott? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holton,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Scott. And that brings us to item D under clean energy. Ron, how are you today?
Doing good.
Good. Another solar item.
Yes. This involves a Vishal Patel who on August 19, 2021, filed a petition requesting that the board deem his solar electric generation facility eligible for the Transition Incentive or TI program. Petitioner asserted that his failure to submit project timely paperwork was due to negligence of his installer, Morgan Associates, or Morgan, from here on in. On September 19, 2019, IGS Solar, the proposed owner of the SRECs to be created by the project, submitted a registration for an 8.04 kilowatt system. The SREC registration team accepted the application on September 23, 2019, which identified Pro Custom as the installer and gave it an expiration date of September 23, 2020, or the date of attainment of the 5.1% milestone, whichever occurred first. However, Pro Custom never installed and eventually canceled the registration in mid-November 2020. On December 29, 2019, the petitioner submitted another SREC registration for a solar project and listed Morgan as the installer. The SREC team identified it as a duplicate registration and issued a cancellation letter addressed to the petitioner on February 28, 2020. However, Morgan installed the project without an active SREC registration. On April 6, 2020, the system installed by Morgan received a final local Monroe Township approval, and on August 8, 2020, the project received permission to operate from the local distribution company. Petitioner stated that he made several attempts to contact Morgan and was told that the installer had completed and submitted the paperwork and that no further action was required. After following up with the New Jersey Clean Energy Program, he found out that the final paperwork was never submitted and that the registration had expired. Then on July 12, 2021, Mr. Patel submitted a new registration for the TI program, but it was later rejected by the TREC registration team when they discovered the PDO was dated April 8, 2020. The petitioner presents no substantive justification to waive the requirements of several board orders that establish a program deadlines. Moreover, staff noted that the registration processing team sent the duplicate registration cancellation notice directly to the petitioner, and the petitioner was copied on the communication with the installer, Pro Custom. Thus, the petitioner knew or should have known that his application was rejected as a duplicate, and that Pro Custom ultimately withdrew the application for petitioner's system. Given the petitioner's failure to follow up and ensure that the system had a valid registration before installation, staff recommends that the board deny the petition. However, the petitioner's project will be stranded without an incentive if the board does not permit the petitioner to register in the administratively determined incentive or the ADDI program. Staff therefore recommends that the board waive the program requirements that a system that commenced commercial operation prior to the opening of the ADDI program registration is ineligible for SREC 2s, and that the board grants special dispensation to the solar facility and deem it eligible to participate in the ADDI program with a qualification life to start on the date of the ADDI program opened, which was August 28, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Ron?
Just one.
Yes.
But this is special dispensation.
Yeah, this is
I just
special.
want to make that clear that,
Yes.
we
Right.
don't wait our
That's
process
correct.
very often, and it is special.
Anyone else? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
And that brings us to item E. Stacey, we have some energy efficiency programs.
Mr. President, Commissioners, yes, this is an energy efficiency matter. On May 25th, 2021.
First of all, hi, Stacey.
Hi, hello. New Jersey Natural Gas Company and Public Service Electric and Gas Company filed a joint petition with the board requesting expedited approval of a waiver of specific accounting treatment of the on-bill repayment programs offered by NJNG through its Save Green 2020 Energy Efficiency Program and by PSNG through its Clean Energy Future Energy Efficiency Program, or CEFE. If approved, the waiver would authorize the lead utility company in an overlapping service territory, that is, the utility company that engages in contracts with the customer participating in an on-bill repayment program, to install certain EE equipment and measures to retain all financial responsibility for, as well as the revenue requirement associated with the on-bill repayment program investment, rather than share the financing investment with the partner utility as previously approved by the board. The waiver would apply only if any of the fewer than 100 customers in the overlapping service territories between New Jersey Natural Gas and PSNG participate in an on-bill repayment program offered by either company. Based upon further discussions, NJNG, PSNG, New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel, and staff reached an agreement to enter into a stipulation of settlement on October 6, 2021. Party to the PSNG CEFE program petition and NJNG Save Green 2020 EU petition either did not object to the stipulation or did not respond in the time requested. Staff recommends that the board approve the stipulation due to its limited scope and the fact that approval will not adversely affect joint petitioners' potential customers in overlapping service territories who would continue to have access to on-bill repayment program offers. Staff believes that the stipulation is reasonable and in the public interest.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Stacey? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Stacey, thank you.
Thank you.
That was it as far as the agenda is concerned. If there are no other items or any other comments from the bench, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.